This presentation is intended to walk you through the best ways to give a great presentation to any audience every time. As with any good presentation, just the slides themselves will not give adequate explanation. For that reason, there will be narration throughout the entire presentation. First off, you need to get it together. Sit down and have a brainstorming session to work out what it really is that you want to accomplish with this presentation. Once you've identified that, it's time to begin the process. The process is the key to success. As with anything you're good at, practice makes perfect. The more you know your subject, the better you will be able to prepare yourself to deliver a killer presentation. The fundamentals of preparing a presentation begin with your audience. Who are they? What do they know? What do they not know? What can you tell them? And most importantly, what are their expectations of you? Audience aside, you must also know the room. What type of venue will you be presenting in? Does this venue give you access to Wi-Fi? Does it have a projector or a video screen in which you can display your visuals? Do you have the correct adapters if you need to plug in a personal device? What is the lighting like in this venue? Will it be dark during the presentation, allowing you to use a dark background with light text? Or will it be in a well-lit conference room that would require dark text on a light background? What's the layout of this room? Is it an auditorium style with a podium? Or is everyone at the same level at a conference table? Will you have a microphone and a clicker if it's a larger audience? Also, what time of day are you presenting? And is it in the same time zone as you are used to? How long will you have to present? Make sure you know the location of the venue and how long it'll take you to get there and park. Don't forget to factor in traffic. There's nothing worse than keeping an audience waiting or missing your own presentation. There are 3 reasons to give a presentation, but the most important thing to remember is that you must always tell the truth. Whether it be about what you ate for breakfast that morning or the key facts in your presentation, make sure you know what you're talking about. Insincerity is transparent, and once you've lost the confidence of the audience, whatever else you say becomes irrelevant. They will not listen. The 3 purposes to give a presentation are to inform, persuade, or engage your audience into taking some type of action or thinking a certain way. Depending on the topic of your presentation and whom you are presenting to, your objective will be different. Regardless of the objective, every great presentation involves some type of storytelling. When you tell a story, you develop an emotional connection with your audience, which could then lead to your audience retaining the information better. A good storyteller should identify a problem, show the conflict that the problem creates, and then reveal a solution to the problem. By clicking play, you can watch this short video with Mohammed Khatani on public speaking tips to hook any audience. Since you have already identified your message and audience to which you will be delivering your message, you should have a good idea of how you will be expected to present yourself. If you are presenting to a company and are unfamiliar with their culture, become familiar with it in order to gauge what is acceptable and what isn't. For example, you wouldn't wear a full suit to an Apple pitch, just like you wouldn't wear flip-flops to a corporate meeting. Doing your homework on what everyone else in the office is wearing will help you fit in better. Plus, your audience will take you more seriously if you look the part. So put your best foot forward. Everything communicates, from the text on the screen, to the words coming out of your mouth, to the clothes you chose to wear. How you present yourself gives the audience key insight into your credibility. Impressions are unconscious biases that are based on little evidence. People are persuaded by color and design, which include the type of font you choose, as well as your appearance and tone and voice. Looking the part stretches far beyond the attire and appearance. In order to look the part, you must exude confidence. Try not to make unnecessary gestures that can become distracting. Keep your hands out of your pockets and don't pace back and forth, but rather move with purpose when trying to emphasize something. Make eye contact throughout the delivery of the presentation, because it not only helps keep the audience engaged, but it also keeps them respectful. What's the point? Make sure you know your material inside and out. This will give you the confidence to deliver a great presentation. Albert Einstein once said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." This couldn't be more true. The objective is to tell the audience what they need to know without giving them too much detail. At all costs, you should try to keep it simple. Touch on key points and don't overcrowd slides. Avoid an information overload with your audience and only present relevant data that helps you make a point. If you must use a graph or a chart to demonstrate a key point, try creating your own chart or graph with a minimal text and a clean, organized design. Are you collaborating with a team that will need access to the presentation during editing? If so, you will need to consider a collaboration software that will allow you to do this, such as Google Slides or Office 365. However, Office 365 requires that everyone participating have a Microsoft account, whereas Google offers a free cloud sharing service for all programs in the Drive suite. If you decide to collaborate in Drive, keep in mind that it does not export perfectly into PowerPoint, and you will have to readjust your layout and margins. Before you jump into creating slides and titles and plugging in content, start in Analog. Take out a sheet of paper and map out your presentation from beginning to end. When you write something down, you are using a different part of your brain than when you're typing. Several studies have shown that handwriting stimulates creativity and increases neural activity. This is similar to meditation, and it will allow for an easy flow of mapping. You may decide to alter some things once you transfer over to digital, which is completely fine and all a part of the process. Think of it as combing out the kinks. How well do you know your material? Will you need notes? Are you going to use note cards or the presenter mode in your presentation software? Whatever you choose, don't forget that you are speaking to an audience and not the computer screen or your notes. Your slides should act as your notes. If you absolutely need physical notes, print out your slides so you can easily follow along. However, keep in mind, the most powerful message you can deliver to the audience is one of confidence. And the best way to do this is to show you know the material well enough that you do not need notes. Will you have handouts? If so, this is where complicated facts and figures can be elaborated on. But don't pass them out. Leave them at the front for people to take after your presentation. Now that you know your key points, it's time to find the perfect visuals. Visuals should be eye-catching because that's what your audience will connect with and remember long after your presentation is over, so make them count. Empty space helps direct attention to key details you want the audience to remember. Instead of overcrowding slides with multiple images and complex clashing backgrounds, try to simplify everything into one clear design. Don't be lazy with your design. If you can avoid it, don't use templates. It's so embarrassing when multiple presenters use the same PowerPoint template. Get creative and try different fonts and colors. If you must, take an existing template and adjust it to make it your own. There are so many choices when it comes to choosing a font. The most important thing to keep in mind is how legible it is and can everyone in the room see the text? For example, all of these fonts are the same size, but they all display differently. This is a very common error, but please make sure your margins are lined up. This is an easy fix in any program you are using, and you can either choose to increase or decrease the indent, hit the tab key, or reference the ruler at the top of the screen in your presentation software. Colors can display differently on different types of screens and monitors. Make sure you know what kind of screen you will be presenting on and if the color calibrates with your screen. If possible, try to check out the location beforehand to test your presentation. As mentioned earlier, you do not want to overcrowd your slides or provide too much detail. If referencing numbers, you should always round. So for instance, $4,756,182.59 should be displayed as sales are more than $4.7 million, or if you're in marketing, sales are approaching $4.8 million. Be credible. Nothing shouts amateur like a typo or grammatical error you didn't catch. So proof your work and do your research. Make sure you know the terms and jargon associated with your topic you will be presenting. This will make Q&A the easiest part for you. Communicate. Don't inundate. You don't want your audience focusing on spacing or margin errors, so make sure everything is lined up, and try not to put heavy emphasis on anything. If done wrong, it can be very distracting. To sum up this presentation is Don McMillan, a corporate comedian, on life after death by PowerPoint. Please feel free to play this video, and thank you for your attention throughout this presentation.
There's some things I hate about PowerPoint, and I figure it's kind of my duty to point them out. So here we go. Here's common PowerPoint mistakes. Number one, people tend to put every word they are going to say on their PowerPoint slides. Although this eliminates the need to memorize your talk, ultimately this makes your slides crowded, wordy, and boring. You will lose your audience's attention before you even reach the bottom of your first slide. Please don't do that anymore, please. Number two, most common, many people do not run spell check. Big mistake. Nothing makes you look stupider than spelling errors. If it's got a red line under it, recheck the spelling. And then finally, I hate this. Avoid excessive bullet pointing, only key points. Too many bullet points, and your key messages will not stand out. In fact, the term bullet point comes from people firing guns at annoying presenters. Hence the bullet point. Bad color schemes, not good. Clashing background and font colors can lead to distraction, confusion, headache, nausea, vomiting, and loss of bladder control. I can't stay on that one too long. Here's something I've noticed. The number of PowerPoint slides you have in your talk, the less useful your talk actually is. Unfortunately, my presentation is right there. I've also noticed this. People love to pack data into their presentations. They shove more and more data thinking it's better, but it's not. The more data you have, the harder it is to read your slide, and the effectiveness plummets. Now you can improve the effectiveness by adding some shading and some 3D effects, and then some second order and third order effects, and then, I know, let's add some labels. That'll help a lot. And that's pretty much every marketing slide I've ever seen right there. Yeah. Then some like VP of marketing standing there going, it's real clear in Q4. What the hell are you talking about? Now, I'm into in animation. People become animators in PowerPoint. You can have things flying all over the place, and that can be good. If you're a visual learner, that will improve the effectiveness of your performance. But if you're easily distracted, more animations, and people have no idea what you're talking about. They're just, wow, that is cool, wow. And there's regions here, by the way. There's the simple but effective region. There's the active but confusing, the effective but boring, the active but ineffective, the dull but static region, the busy but useless, the ADD only region, the useful but amusing, the stupid but confusing, the dull triangle, the hyper triangle, the sleepy square, the dizzying pentagon, and everything else I just call pointless motion. That slide right there took me an hour and a half to make, right there. PowerPoint can just suck the life out of you. It's amazing. I've also come up with this. It's a kind of a little science I've invented called font analysis. Basically, the font you choose says something about who you are as a person. There's a huge list of fonts, and you choose one, and that says something about you, so be careful the font you choose. For example, if you choose Courier New, it happens to be my favorite, you're probably organized and structured. If you choose Matisse, it means you're artistic. And if you choose Times New Roman, it means you're lazy, apathetic, and unimaginative, and you always use the default.